Oh hey you, what up? Welcome to my channel. Welcome back. Maryam's here. Maryam here. Maryam is here. Hi. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing, applying, testing out, scrutinizing the new NATASHA DENONA Hyper Natural Face Palette. This is what it looks like, and I will say this is probably the first face palette that has ever gotten me excited. And when they say face palette, they mean that they're including face products as well as eyeshadows in this. So this one has 3 bronzers slash contour shades, 2 blushes, and 5 eyeshadows that are actually a new formula for NATASHA DENONA, the brand. I'm talking a lot in this intro, but maybe we should actually just get started. Subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, and let's hit it. NATASHA DENONA Hyper Natural Face Palette, review, application, the works. Alright, so this palette, like I said, is the first one to excite me. Typically when I think of face palettes, I think of like those old school, free with a purchase type of Clinique palettes that my mom used to get back in the day. Like that's what it reminds me of. When I think of a face palette, it reminds me of one of those things that you open and then there's like all these sorts of little compartments and it's got like little balmy lip tints in there and like eyeshadows. It makes me think of like those older brands like Clinique, like Lancome, all of those brands. But this, I will say, is a fresh take on a face palette. It is still very, very compact. It's not bulky. And I feel like all of these shades can be used on the face or on the eyes. Like any of these bronzer shades can be used to contour the eyes as well as chisel out the face. And of course the blushes you could use wherever. Something about this is really cute. It's travel friendly. I'm here for it. I'm expecting great things, but you know what? It is $62. It is kind of pricey. So I definitely need to put my scrutinizing hat on and I need to scrutinize the hell out of it. Okay, the eyeshadows are actually now talc free, so this is a new formula for NATASHA. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So first and foremost, I definitely want to test out these bronze and contour shades that range from like a light ochre to like a medium ochre. None of these are really very deep, but I'm wondering if they are pigmented. I'm gonna do something that I typically never do, but this will really help me determine. So I'm gonna grab this brush here. This is from Motives. It's just a very stiff chiseling type of brush that I like to use for contouring smaller areas like the nose, around the mouth, things like that. Dipping that into the lightest shade, and I want to see what happens if I try to create a little shadow underneath my lip. Okay, I can see it applying on, but it is a very, very subtle shade. Let's see what happens if I apply it to the nose. Ooh, I think for the purpose of a nose contour, especially if you are on the lighter spectrum, and perhaps you don't want a heavy contour, you want it to be believable, this might be a good shade for that. It really does chisel out the nose. This is the type of shade that I would use for myself because I don't really like a very strong nose contour, but I do like to do it every now and then for certain looks, you know? And this brush is like kind of perfect for this because it is very, very stiff. All right, so I'm also gonna take this right underneath the brow and kind of just connect that. I feel like that's pretty nice. That's not bad, right? I'm gonna take a fluffy brush and just gently go over that to make it a little bit more natural. Mix that with the second shade. And I'm gonna go over my actual eye socket bone, this bone right here. So I like the fact that this bronze contour shade is not super pigmented because that makes it actually perfect for contouring and bronzing in my opinion, especially for every day when you want it to look natural and believable. And this is after all supposed to be an everyday palette that you can use for work. Okay, and so far I gotta say I kind of appreciate that. All right, so now for actual bronzing and contouring, I'm gonna grab a bigger brush, this one, blending and contouring from Jane Iredale. I'm gonna kind of dip that into both of these, and I already have my foundation on. Obviously, I already have my face set with powder, so I'm gonna go in liberally just with the first 2 shades. I really like how subtle this is. This is absolutely up my alley, but if you are darker than me, if your skin tone is more brown, then this will obviously not show up on you. However, it does say in the little pamphlet here that if you are a deeper skin tone, these lighter shades here are actually meant to be used as a matte highlighter. So for the deeper skin tones, NATASHA DENONA's pro tip is to use the lighter shade to highlight the inner corner and brow bone. For lighter skin tones, use darker shades to sculpt the crease under the brow bone. For me, because my preference is for a very subtle contour, and you could still absolutely see it. I can definitely see the warmth and the bronziness on my forehead. You can still see it on my skin tone. You know what? I do have a couple of breakouts here that are still healing. Because of the breakouts, I have to be careful with how this applies. I don't want it to highlight any of those bumps, so I'm just using whatever's remaining on my powder brush just to powder it down and blend it a little bit. But I think you get the idea. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go for the deepest shade. Okay, this is definitely very, very lovely. And it is applying quite airbrush-like. Once again, I have some acne breakouts here that I've covered up well, and I want them to remain that way. So I'm just being very careful and just making sure I'm not rubbing too hard and rubbing off my makeup. Okay, that looks like a good base. Let me do the other side. Okay, so I think I'm getting the hang of this. I think I'm understanding the concept. This is supposed to be a no makeup type of palette, at least for the face products, which are the bronzers, and I'm assuming the blushes. So let's go ahead and try out the blushes. I've got my blush brush over here. I'm gonna start off with the pale pink shade. Ooh, there's a lot of dust here. But the color is just so dainty. Ooh, it's got just the slightest bit of a pearlescent sheen, but it is very, very flattering. I'm gonna take it all the way up to the temple. I hate this brush, it sheds like crazy. Okay, kind of obsessed with the blush. Just the color is so perfect, really buildable, really, really silky on the skin. Super skin perfecting, and just like, it's giving airbrushed. I really, really do see that. All right, let's try the rosier blush. Of course, you can mix them together if you want. Just gonna pop that right in the middle between the bronzer and the first blush. Maybe add a little bit on the nose just to tie everything together. Absolutely lovely. So now this is up my alley, though I'm not sure that it will be up everyone's alley just because it is on the bare minimum side of makeup. The blushes are a little bit more pigmented, but the contours for sure are very, very light. They are very, very buildable. And although it's my preference, I realize that's not everyone's preference when it comes to these bronzers and contours, especially in a day and age where we're so used to using creams and like super heavy, very, very pigmented types of products for the face. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. You guys let me know. All right, I'm just dipping into the deeper shade here, and I'm gonna basically create a little bit of a lift here in the outer corner of my eye and kind of just connect my temple, my contour to my eye like that. You kind of see it. It's subtle, but it's there. And again, I'm using that brush from Motives. I like it. I like that the undertones of the bronze and contour shades are neutral, so they're not too cool, that they're gray, and they're also not too warm that they are orange. They're somewhere in between, so they are perfect for contouring or bronzing. I like that. And now let's move on to the eyeshadows. Okay, so these are all supposed to be satin finish eyeshadows with the exception of the second shade here, which is a wet finish sparkle effect type of eyeshadow. So let's go ahead and get started and try those out. I'm gonna go for shade Casual here, which is like a muted gray. I'll take like a pointed brush like this. I'm gonna start applying that to the outer corner of my eye, just like that, for a little casual lift. Ooh, stunning. Really subtle, really pretty, and perfect for that everyday vibe. So good. And because I already applied the bronzer there to accentuate my eye socket, it kind of just flows. It already looks like it's really well blended. I'll do the same thing here, kind of just applying it on a diagonal towards the tail end of my brow. This brush here is the i4 brush from Nova Beauty, Fashion Nova Beauty makeup line. It's a really good brush though. Regardless of how you may feel about Fashion Nova, this brush is decent. Okay, that looks so quietly glamorous. I'm feeling it. I mean, of course, my expectations are always high for NATASHA DENONA, for Pat McGrath, for NYC. These ladies know what they're doing with their brands. They're like the Whitney, Mariah, and Celine of makeup. Oh yeah, each different, but each has their own voice, you know what I mean? And you absolutely cannot mistake a NATASHA DENONA palette for a Pat McGrath palette for a NYC palette, you know? I almost don't want to do any more makeup because I just like the way this looks so much. It's so put together and clean and just like, I don't know. Should we make it a little bit messier though? Maybe Clean Girl is dead. Maybe it's time for grunge. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna take this other shade, Everyday. So this one was called Casual. This one's called Everyday. It's a coppery shade, I will say. Maybe like an antique gold. I'm just gonna run that along the lash line. This does have just a little bit of sheen, but I wouldn't necessarily call it metallic. It's like something in between a satin and a metallic. Let me actually apply this with my finger to the other eye so you can really see the difference. This is the first time that I've ever experienced this. This shadow applies practically the same with a brush or with a finger. There really is no difference in pigment, but I kind of prefer the application better with a brush. It's just more precise, you know? I'm gonna take that same shade and add that to my lower lash line, which I haven't really done in a while. I feel like it's not part of the clean girl aesthetic that we've been going for lately. I don't know, I think maybe makeup is changing and this looks so right to me. If only my hair stayed out of my face too. Let's try one more shade. I'm gonna go for this dark chocolate shade called Statement. This tiny little brush. I'm gonna add that very close to my lower lash line and also very close to my top lash line, but just to the outer portion. And kind of just lift it up so that it doesn't look like a wing, but so that it definitely looks darkened. I mean, obviously I keep on adding to the look, but you can stop at whatever point that you like. I'm just trying to see all the possibilities of this eyeshadow palette. Face palette is what it is. And honestly, I think the possibilities are pretty endless. You can definitely do clean girl with this, but you can also do grunge, and you could for sure do glam or anything in between. Grunge glam, clean glam, classic glam, no makeup. I wonder what a no makeup grunge would look like. That should be a thing. I'm feeling like a 90s supermodel. So now I'm thinking there's a pinky shade here that I want to utilize, but I don't even know where to place it. Let me just place it to the center, just like a little bit of a pop. It also has this pearlescent sort of feel, so it's not quite pink. It's kind of like a dusty pinky lavender, and then mixed with the browns it also takes on another shade shifting appearance. Definitely great for highlighting though. Oh my god, these are so buttery and so different. Truly. I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna reach for my highlighter brush. I'm gonna dip that into the pink. It's called Soft. And what happens if, you know, I just indulge a little? I knew it. It's kind of sophisticated, but without trying too hard. Definitely, this is exactly what this palette is giving. All right, final shade. I'm gonna dip my finger into it because this is supposed to be that wet sparkling shade, and it is called Dreamy. I'm gonna dip a clean finger into it. Oh, that formula is my favorite formula of all. So this is what I'm gonna do with this. I'm gonna add that to the center, kind of raise it to the brow. Do you see that? Add it to the center, raise it to the brow. Oh man. This suddenly made it very red carpet appropriate, very evening appropriate. So this kind of sparkle, if worn alone, is also very daytime appropriate. But just over this very smoky kind of cat eye, definitely giving night vibes. Ooh, it's so good. It is so good. Okay. I don't know if it's me or if it's the palette. I don't know if it's my skills. I don't know if it's because it's Friday. This video will be up on Sunday, but it's Friday for me right now, and I'm just like in a good mood, you know? All right, let's quickly add some mascara. I'm gonna do the Jane Iredale primer real quick. I told you it's a good one. No need to curl your lashes because it curls them for you. And also curls them in the most natural way. Not in a crimpy way, just like in a lifting type of way. Not the cat hair making its way into my lash primer. My cats have been so needy lately. Not only are they sleeping with us full time, but my cats are like literally in my videos now, in my shorts and reels, TikToks, etc. And I feel so bad whenever we leave them, even for a day. It's crazy. So yeah, it makes sense that there's cat hair in all of my makeup products, even the new ones. Okay, this is the Essence Lash Princess Curl and Volume Mascara. I generally like all of their mascaras. This Curl and Volume one is one of the nicer ones from that line. Ooh, look at that curve. Oh, kind of obsessed and want to go on a date tonight. I don't know, it's still so cold in New York. And whenever it's cold, I just don't want to go anywhere, to be honest. I'm lucky that I work from home, and I'm also blessed that my work only requires me to go to events like 2 or 3 times a week max. But like when it comes to personal going out, I just can't do it in the winter. I'm just not interested, and I guess I'm just not motivated. But I don't know, this makeup is motivating me to perhaps step out tonight. I don't know. Final thing I'm gonna do is add some lips. For the lips, I'm just gonna grab whatever's in front of me. Let me tell you, there's a lot of things in front of me. I really need to clean up this mess. But Too Faced Lip Injection Maximum Plump is what is in front of me. So I'm just gonna add a bit of that. All right, and here is my final look. I don't even know what to call it. Is it glam? Is it classic? What do we call this one? I don't know. It's definitely not a no makeup look. It's definitely not grungy per se, but it is a pinch smoky. It is a pinch sparkly. It's definitely giving evening hours. It's put together, which I like. Drop your name suggestions below. What do we call this one? But we're not really here for that, are we? We are here for the review of this. As I mentioned earlier in the video, this is probably one of the first face palettes to really excite me, to really inspire me. I really like the size of this. I think this is travel friendly. I think this is lightweight, but The quality of the packaging is just so nice. There's a huge mirror that obviously I couldn't utilize, but this is great for an on-the-go type of palette, for bronzing, for contouring, for blush, and for all of your daily or nightly eyeshadow needs. Let me just put it this way. I think it'll be hard to compete with this palette, especially in a face palette category. This just has all the essentials, and these are what I would call current present day makeup essentials. We always go for blush nowadays. Blush is where it's at. We still love contouring and bronzing. There's options here, and the eyeshadows are just incredible quality, plus they're talc free. I feel like this is a really, really good one. She is a keeper. My one suggestion would be to perhaps create another version of this, one for deeper skin tones with colors that more people could utilize, perhaps with deeper contour shades, and obviously like a different blush combo, perhaps a berry tone or whatever tone. I'm not even saying that it has to be for skin tones, perhaps just more of this and different versions of it. So if this is your no makeup version, I would like to see perhaps an all matte version. The creative possibilities here are endless, and I guess what I'm trying to say is that this absolutely works for me. I will definitely keep reaching for this. Up my alley for sure. And if I had to give it a grade, I would definitely give this a high 9.5 out of 10. This was just such a pleasure to use, like all of Natasha Denona's eyeshadow palettes, and now the face palette. Here for it. So with that, and on that positive note, I'm gonna zoom on out. I'm gonna invite you guys to check out more of my videos right here, as always. So I'll see you there. Peace out. I'm out. Deuces.